How much love do I have for life right now? How much am I living? Am I distracting myself? Am I living in this virtual world of other people's worlds that I'm consuming on Instagram? Or how much am I living in my experience? How many experiences am I having with nature, with other people, coming together with others, sharing love, sharing energy, sharing ideas? Hello my loves, and welcome back to my channel, in which we speak about self-mastery and how we can live the best life from the inside out. And today's topic will be, how do we measure success in a beneficial way for ourselves? Because success seems to be such an interesting topic, where we have these notions of what it could mean, what it could be, and very often we actually haven't found our own definition of success. And I feel so passionately about redefining how we measure success, because from my own life experience, I've come to realize that what we are taught from our parents, for example, or from society, may actually be a crooked or wonky way of measuring success in terms of well-being when we change that definition. Because to me, it is all about living the good life. And I know that living the good life means empowering ourselves to bring that positive change into our life. So before I get ahead of myself and how we can potentially change this measure of success, I want to share with you my measure of success. Because as somebody who experienced darkness for 13 years of my life in emotional well-being, depression, anxiety, to me, success means living a joyful life where we can embrace the darkness. We're not trying to run away from it. We're not trying to push it away. We can accept and embrace the darkness, the pain. We can move through it in a healthy way and ultimately feel a sense of well-being throughout our entire life. And I find it so interesting that societal measures of success can be so far removed from that, because ultimately we have this one life in this body. And when we think about every single thing that had to happen for us to be able to be living this life right now, for you to be able to be breathing right now, taking in those breaths, for me to be sitting here, speaking with you, to be alive in this body. So many things had to happen, including, how did your parents meet? How did they meet? How did they fall in love? What was that story about? What about the grandparents? All of our ancestors. What was their story? It is incredible what has to happen for us to then have the chance to be born, for you, for me, to be in these bodies right now. Therefore, it is so beautiful when we get to come into that way of living that is, okay, I have this one body, I have this one life. I want to live the best life. I want to make the most out of this life. I want to live the juiciness. I want to have awesome experiences. I want to feel good for the majority of the time. And when I don't feel good, I want to know that everything is still fine, and that on the other side of this difficult moment, of this challenge to surmount, there will be another joyful moment to love and enjoy. And that also through the darkness, we get to grow. We can only grow through contrast. We cannot grow if everything is always easy and going well. Growth comes from challenges that we overcome. And coming into this way of living and being, it is so satisfying. And also, another thing that came to me was, what about measuring success in terms of enthusiasm for life? So taking it a step further and saying, how much enthusiasm do I have for life right now? Am I feeling like, oh no, I need to get up again. I need to do that job that I hate. Oh, sucks. And then I'm going to have to do that after work. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like that. And we want to feel those feelings when they're here. It's not about bypassing them. However, we can come into a way of living where even those things that we don't want to do, we embrace them. We become enthusiastic about our whole life in general, including those things that we do not want to do. And so instead of thinking, oh, I need to do the dusting again. I really hate cleaning my house. It's so boring. Why do I have to do that? Using our willpower to say, right, I'm going to do the best job that I can at the dusting. I love myself so much that I want to be in a super clean environment. I am worthy of looking around myself and thinking, lovely. I just cleaned, looking good. I don't have to do anything in my physical environment. It's all done. Now I get to turn my attention and focus onto other important things. We can live our life where we apply our will, but then it turns into effort. So we need to use effort to be able to complete a task. And to me, effort means pushing against the stream. We're not going downstream. There is always the current of life. We are always on a river, and we can either go with the river, go with the flow of the river, or we can try and go upstream. We can try and push our way with lots of effort, with lots of energy going against the stream. And the stream is love. The stream is, in fact, love for life, enthusiasm for life. That is the natural current that we can tap into at any given moment. And so when we are taking this example again of cleaning the house or dusting, doing the dusting, we can think, oh, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to apply effort to do this task, even though I don't want to do it. And then we're going against the stream, and ultimately we use more energy to be able to complete the same task because of our mindset, because of how we're feeling, because of the fact that we are not embracing this task. We are trying to push against it. We are saying to ourselves, and it's the opposite of self-love. We are saying to ourselves, this task needs to be done. I have to do this task. I don't want to do this task. So I'm doing myself a disservice by forcing myself to do this task. And therefore, I am not honoring my needs. I'm not honoring myself because I feel like I don't want to do this task. And now I'm forcing myself to do it. Or we can reframe it. We can remember that these little things are part of life. These things that we don't want to do, they're part of life, and we can actually enjoy them. There can actually be great joy in them. So if we say to ourselves, I don't feel like I want to do this task. However, I know it needs to be done. And actually, I love myself so much that I want to be in a clean environment. And to be able to be in a clean environment, I need to step up here and complete this task, do the cleaning. take responsibility for my environment, for my well-being, for myself, I will feel so much better as a result of having a clean environment. So I get to embrace this task, I get to make it into a ritual. I get to say, I'm going to put so much love into this task, into cleaning. I am going to infuse it with my loving energy, whatever that looks like. It could be that you put some, essential oils into your water, or setting the intention. You can set an intention for when you're cleaning, infusing the energy of what you're doing with something loving and meaningful and beautiful. Or it can be as simple as coming into the wisdom of, I love myself, and so this task is being done from a place of self-love rather than a place of, I have to do it, I'm going to push. And that we're doing the same task, and that brings a completely different energy to what we are doing. And so this is only one of so many examples of how we can reframe our mindset, reframe the way that we think and feel about our life to bring more enthusiasm into it. If I'm starting the day, and I talk about this, I think in my last 2 videos, so I'll link them below. So when we start the day with enthusiasm for life, because we get to choose what we think. So if I wake up and I think, I love life, life is amazing, I've been given this life, we are already tuning into the frequency of enthusiasm for life. And then we get to carry that through our day. And it's our choice at every moment, every time we're starting a new segment of our day. And it may be, yes, now it's cleaning. Okay, do I keep that enthusiasm for life going? Do I want to clean in a way that's downstream, that feels loving and flowing, and that doesn't feel like I'm using loads of energy to go against myself and actually coming from a place of self-love? Or do I not do that? And then if I do not do that, then I'm coming back to a state of not appreciating life and not going with the flow. And then it might take a little more energy to come back to the enthusiasm of life. The more, at every stage of our day, the more we can keep staying in enthusiasm for life, which includes gratitude for life and the situation that I'm in right now, love, self-love, doing whatever's coming up to me in a loving way where I get to honor myself. And also honoring myself if I do need a break right now from this thing, because it's actually so challenging for me to keep doing this thing with that level of enthusiasm. I get to take a break. I get to come from that self-love again and say, oh, I need this for myself to stay in my beautiful, loving, appreciative energy. Listening to our needs, listening to what is coming up within, cultivating that relationship to all parts of ourselves. And I also talk in depth in my last video about 3 tools that we can use to think more positively. So I'll link that below as well, because that is also truly in service of this notion of redefining success into how much enthusiasm do we have for life? How much love do I have for life right now? How much am I living? Am I distracting myself? Am I living in this virtual world of other people's worlds that I'm consuming on Instagram or something? Or how much am I living in my experience? How many experiences am I having with nature, with other people, coming together with others, sharing love, sharing energy, sharing ideas, playing? How much am I playing? So I'm really curious what has been your journey on redefining success? I really want to also highlight that part of redefining success for ourselves means individuating from our parents and actually from society as well. And part of becoming a sovereign adult means questioning what our parents, primary caregivers, have taught us. Because they will have created their own set of beliefs throughout their lives. And those set of beliefs will have been in service for them and their progress, their evolution, their growth. And we now get to create our own. We're living in a different time. You and I, we have different ways of thinking and feeling than our parents. So really asking ourselves regularly, what beliefs do I still carry that are the beliefs of my parents that maybe I don't even agree with anymore? Because we don't have to rewrite the whole thing. There will be things that they've taught us that are awesome and we get to carry them forward. However, overall, and especially in this measuring of success, because success is such an important, integral part of how we live and how we want to come into the ultimate way of being. Success means I've done it, I've nailed it, I've managed it. This is what I wanted, I've achieved it, I've achieved this goal. I've achieved this way of being. I've achieved my measure of success. That's a really beautiful place to be in. However, if that measure of success was based on someone else's measure of success, it is going to be so painful to be in that space because you are not in integrity with yourself and your needs. So if you are in that space where you're feeling like, I'm successful, I've managed it, I've nailed it, and it's not feeling good on a physical level, in terms of nervous system, in terms of thinking, you're not feeling like this is it, you're just feeling like this was meant to be it, but why do I still feel like this? Then question that measure of success. Think to yourself, oh, am I living my measure of success? Have I even found my own measure of success? Have I actually contemplated what my own measure of success is? Or have I just been swept away with the measure of success from my parents or peers? And then there's society. There's the measure of success of society, what we are constantly fed. It being about looking a certain way, about having certain things, about having a certain amount of money. And there is nothing wrong with having or being any of those things so long as they are our own measure of success. And again, for me, for example, having lots of money, that's not a measure of success. That may be something that can support me in feeling enthusiastic for life. Because money is beautiful. Money can enable things. With money, I can have more experiences. Thanks to money, I have this phone to record right now. Thanks to money, I live in this beautiful environment. So there's nothing wrong with money in itself. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have money. However, if having money is the measure of success, and you have got there, you have gotten to the point of having lots of money through effort, through going upstream, having the money is not going to bring any better feeling, because nothing from the outside can make us feel good within ourselves. We feel good within ourselves when we love ourselves. and when we are tapped into the inner joy that is always within, that's how we feel good. It is not, nothing from outside can bring that. Money cannot bring that. I can think, oh, when I've got more money, I'll feel better, I'll feel joyful because I'll be able to do that, I'll be able to have that experience. But it's not true, because if you are still feeling like you have to apply effort, like it's really hard, then there may be ways where you'll lose that money, because those beliefs create a way that you'll lose the money without even having spent on those experiences that you knew would light your soul up. Situations may happen, or you may not even spend the money. You may just hoard it forever. You may be like, no, it's not enough. I can't spend it on myself yet. If you don't love yourself already, having the money is not going to help you love yourself more. You're just going to perpetuate those stories, and that'll be reflected in how you handle money, how you are with money. And so this is why, for me, success is measured first and foremost by how I feel within, about life, about myself, about my path, about also how I feel about others. How much can I love others? That is also, to me, a huge measure of success. How much can I love others? And that flows back into enthusiasm for life. If I cannot love others, in that instance, am I going to feel enthusiastic for life? No, I'm going to feel like that person's hurting me, or they're pissing me off, they're bothering me, or why do they have to be like that? And yes, we can have those thoughts and be like, okay, what am I going to learn from it? How am I going to grow from this? That person was a real sucks. Didn't want to be treated like that. What do I do now? How do I empower myself to respond to this in a way that honors my self-love, that honors my enthusiasm for life? Maybe I need to share with that person how I feel. Or maybe it's about having compassion for them, opening my heart and saying, do you know what? It's okay that you were like that in that instance. I forgive you. Or maybe it's about saying, no, I don't want to be spending time with people who treat me like that, having good boundaries. So, what's coming up for you? Would you define being enthusiastic for life as a measure of success, or have you got a completely different one? Is there a completely different emphasis for you? It's a completely different area that, like, no, this is really important to me actually, because I've had this experience, and so therefore this is it. Like I mentioned earlier, for me, I experienced 13 years of no enthusiasm for life, the opposite. So now, yeah, my measure of success is enthusiasm for life, because I know what it's like to not have that. What about you? What challenges have you gone through in your life that have been painful, that have been challenging, that have been hard? Now you've come out the other side. You've said to yourself, actually, through those challenges, I've learned that this is my measure of success. This is what I want to be embodying, what I want to be living on a daily basis as a result of feeling into the pain of not having it. What does yours look like? I'd love to hear it in the comments. And like and subscribe. And I'm super, super honored to be walking alongside you on this journey, and see you in the next video.